All right. I think we're here. Hello. Welcome. Welcome to the fun. This is Off the Rails. I am Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train, and I am joined tonight by our special guest for the evening, Billy Jones. Say hi, Billy.
What's up?
Um,
Off the rails? Is that what we're saying?
yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm calling it for now. I don't know. I just had to, I figured if I'm going to do a stream, I have to name it something ridiculous, right? That was kind of my line of thinking. But
Well, it works with J Train, so I like it.
right, that was kind of what I was going for, but um, so yeah, uh, Billy, just give us a little introduction about yourself, kind of your background, and how long you've kind of been in these best ball contests.
Oh, yeah. So my name's Billy Jones. CPA and data scientist at an accounting firm. Love sports, love fantasy sports. And after finishing my master's, I was looking for more depth, more things to do with my life. And so I was like, okay, time to start playing around with fantasy sports data. And so, little like last March, I created a Twitter account, started learning NFL Fast R and all that comes with that. And Underdog was going crazy, so got in there for the football stuff. But that market is so sharp, it is so saturated.
Mm-hmm.
It's so I was always interested in some of the other markets that they're doing, basketball, hockey, baseball. And as someone who played baseball growing up, was so excited when the bullpen came around, and I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And the data is available, so I started playing around with it, and we're here now. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
some of the stuff that you've come up with, kind of the deep dives. I mean, between what you've put out there and what our guy Baseball has put out on X, I mean, there is a ton of great data out there. Your Twitter handle SportsVizBJ. So if you're watching this and you do not follow Billy, make sure you do that. Again, SportsVizBJ is the handle. But yeah, man, I think you've come up with some great visuals and some great data points. I know the stacking dingers guys, Dark Sheet Baseball, Too Much Tuma, those guys have used some of your stuff, and it all looks good and all makes sense based on last year. I know one conversation that's kind of kicking into gear, or going to kick into high gear, is specifically around pitching and early round pitching. And that's definitely something I wanted to talk to you about, your thoughts there, because seems to be kind of a divide between, do you go with maybe one or two pitchers early, just lock in those aces and then backfill, or do you go with like a zero pitcher strategy? So I just wanted to kind of pick your brain on that and see if you have kind of a lean based on, the data that you've been able to look at from last year.
Well, last year it was quite optimal to run it like the zero pitcher. So I have a chart in one of my initial posts on using the baseball data, and it shows how many cumulative pitchers that you've taken so far in the advance rate. If you were zero pitcher through any point through the first 10 rounds, you were above. You had a positive above expectation advance rate, which gives a it's like, okay, there's a ton of substance there. The high point 0 through 5 was advancing at something like a 25% rate. It was kind of wild. Or and So I'm last year it was clearly very optimal to punt the position. This year the market's definitely shifted a little bit, and is that still the case? Is an interesting question. Um, I just do think when you mentioned the Dark Sheep and the Stacking Dingers podcast, and they showed the visual of how pitchers score, um, you see pitching scoring is heavily impacted by innings and strikeouts. It's like a large chunk of the bar. And then you have like a topper, which is your quality start win, which I think are going to essentially be like more often than not correlated. So if you're going to get one, you're going to get the other. So you either have, and then you have this negative, which is earned runs, but the large chunk is those two. So which really kind of emphasizes the two start week from a mid pitcher is just as good or better than a single start week from most pitchers that not named Spencer Strider. Um, and that conundrum, or that, I don't know what the right word is, phenomenon makes it so that that middle round pitching and get just a volume of guys that you're comfortable getting innings and multiple shots, multiple bullets at 2 weeks, 2 start weeks, um, is where the value was. You saw last year, punt it early, get pitching in the middle, stop late, don't get the guys that are kind of dusty, and that's where the value was. That's how I like to draft now, and so that's my opinions on them on it. Yeah.
I mean, I think and for anybody watching, if you guys want to draft along with us, I'm going to go ahead and enter the dinger right now. And here we go. So feel free to hop in with us if you want to do a draft. We need 2 more people. So we're going to get rolling here. Obviously the data does show that kind of punting or waiting on pitching until the middle rounds last year was definitely optimal. The way that I'm leaning is to kind of take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, because it felt like, and this is the first year I played best ball, but it felt like there were an abnormal number of top tier pitchers that failed last year for whatever reason, whether it was injury or just bad performance. Rattling some names off the top of my head: Corbin Burns didn't pay off his price. Sandy Alcantara, Carlos Rodon got hurt. Aaron Nola didn't pay off his price tag. Dylan Cease was going kind of in that area. He didn't really pay off the price tag. I just think last year was a little weird when it comes to how those early draft pick pitchers performed. I wonder, did the pitch clock have something to do with that with some of these guys? I know there's been some talk about Aaron Nola, specifically, like he used to take forever to throw pitches, and now he's got 20 seconds or whatever to throw one. So I wonder if that kind of played in. So if that were to be the case, and now, pitchers have a year to have adjusted to it or whatever, are those same guys going to succumb to those, that same issue, if it even is one? So you can very clearly see what happened last year. I'm trying to not lean into that too much for this year, because last year, just for those top tier pitchers that just kind of didn't get there. So when I'm building teams in the bullpen, I primarily was doing the get 2 pitchers out of the way pretty quickly, and then just kind of fill in as I go. My exposures and my strategies, I think my builds in the dinger are probably going to be more diverse. So I definitely will dabble more in
We're doing
the type of
0 P
structure that
tonight.
you're talking about.
Like, that's happening. 0 pitcher is happening tonight.
All
0
right.
pitcher is happening tonight.
I know. I can
my
take
rule, my rule is 0 through 5. I will sprinkle a 3rd or 4th round pitcher if it's a great ADP value. But where I start looking is really like back of 5, early 6. And I'm looking for guys that have that real like high end upside. So Scooble is someone I keep going back to because I'm like he's got this like per game projection of I think 3rd overall or something stupid. And if he doesn't pitch the whole time, there's partially that priced into the fact that he's not going in this like in the top 5 guys. So those kind of profiles I'm interested in, but what are we getting? Number 2, I love that.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Let's go.
So
Kimi Acuna, it's not happening, but give it to me.
No. All right. So let's start the conversation. If our guy Billy Joe does not take Acuna here, where are you leaning, Soto or Judge? I have mine answer locked.
Judge, and I don't think it's really that close. There's the visuals where you see where Soto's power production doesn't improve in the new stadium. Okay, cool. It's more of like how they profile for this tournament. A real nuclear spike is multiple home runs in a week. Okay, who's going to do that between the two? Judge. Additionally, in a format where we can be accepting of a little bit of risk, Judge is that risk that we can get an outsized top end outcome. I don't see that from Soto. Am I going to full fade him? No, but I think I'm going to be overweight Judge over Soto if I'm going to be sitting with my 2-3 picks.
I am 100% with you on that. I think, and welcome, Brad. I see you made the draft too. Welcome in. I'm with you 100%, and I've been doing this since the beginning. I'm not full fading Soto because I think that's a terrible mistake. But when I look at my bullpen shares, I think my Aaron Judge ownership is about 14 or 15%, and I think my Soto ownership is like 4. So I'm doing the same thing. There are, in terms of just complete and total go nuclear upside, it's Acuna and Judge are 1-2. And then we can have a debate about, who would be after that. Do we believe in Tatis? Can Jordan stay healthy? Is Shohei's elbow okay? All those conversations can take place, but I am absolutely with you on the Judge over Soto thing. Not fading Soto, but Judge gives you everything that you need to have an absolutely massive week at any point in time.
I just think the comparison is Christian McCaffrey, pretty obviously. And it's this player that when, like, without Acuna, because Acuna is kind of different, but like before last year, he was the 101, and I looked at a chart where it's like, it didn't change. Like, he was the 101 the whole season. And if it weren't for the injury risk, he would be the 101. And for us to get him at 3 or 2, we'll be able to have a portfolio that is overweight CMC. I would take that.
And it's honestly, it's partially the CMC thing that I used to very much be the avoid the injury prone guy. I really used to be that, but I am fully leaning into those types of guys this year. Welcome in, Spike. 2 or more pitchers from the same team. Yeah, we can talk about pitcher stacking. We'll definitely talk about hitter stacking as we go. I'm guessing we're going to stack something. But we'll talk about pitcher stacking in a little bit here. And Rally with a nice shout out here to you, doing some great work out on Twitter. Again, the handle for Billy is SportsViz, VIZ, BJ. So follow him if you don't already. I forgot what I was saying before.
I was going to say, we do have some family and friends in the draft.
We do.
People from
yeah.
the Baz Bros Discord that we love to see that. Thanks for showing up.
My guy Bjorn Masterson here. He and I chat quite a bit on Twitter, X. But yeah, I'm leaning into the guy's good players because you can't predict injuries, right? It's different if you're talking about a guy like, Byron Buxton, who 7 years hasn't been able to stay on the field, right? But Mike Trout has a couple of rough years with injuries. Does that mean he's toast? I don't think so. Can he absolutely nuke you this late in the draft? 100%. So those are the kind of guys I'm trying to take more advantage of and just hope I get lucky with the injury thing. We're going to be on the clock here in a second. So what are you thinking? Are we thinking? Well, I was going to want to take Trout, but what do you got?
Yeah, Trout's an interesting one, especially as you can get him your outfielder too, where you can deal with some of the missing games. I love Pete Alonso here.
Okay.
From a real life perspective, he had a down season. A best ball perspective, he was still highly productive. And I think he should be higher than he is right now. Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys who can really string together some pretty smash weeks with his home run potential. One guy that I've been taking quite a bit, and it's getting a little hard to click his name because he's pretty high up here. I've said it before. I don't think that we've seen Luis Roberts' ceiling just yet, but it's getting a little harder because he's pretty expensive.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah, it's there's just so many factors in here, right? I could take Devers. I think that that's a really good pick too, because you're going to have your two superstar infielders, your anchors, and we can then are going to get there's so many infielders later. But this gives us access to when an infielder does fall, we can snipe it now. Rather
Correct.
than if we had two, we're kind of pigeonholed into being whatever like we have to take outfielders. Robert's ceiling is, as you said, as good as anyone, and I've done this start before.
Yeah, I have a few Judge Robert. I have a few Judge Trout Robert teams. I don't like leaving the third round without two outfielders if I can avoid it, because of the reason you just listed, right? Um, I almost never
Because
feel
Nolan
like I'm
Jones goes
chasing.
36 now.
Yeah, that's
No,
crazy.
it's
I don't know if I
disgusting.
could do that.
So bullpen starts. I don't start at the beginning of the draft because I'm like, oh, baseball. I should do some research before I start firing bullets, even though it's only $5. And then so I like miss on the Nolan Jones rise. I still think he's a value where he was, and so I'm like keep hammering it, hammering it, hammering it. I got a really nice exposure on the Nolan Jones in the bullpen, but then this tournament happens and it's getting disgusting. And I understand the
Yeah,
thesis of you're sitting there at the 11 pick or 12 pick, you missed out on the first outfielders, you have to take them. You're looking down the board, who can have the upside? The guy in Colorado who went 2020 last year out of like nowhere. Um,
right.
but it's ugly. Like, look what just happened right there. Look at the board right now.
Yeah,
If you don't have outfield, what do you do?
exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I have such a hard time starting with a 0-2-1 build. I'm really trying to do 0-1-2s to start to have that anchor infielder, but changing up who that anchor infielder is so I'm not missing anybody. Obviously, depending on what the draft gives you in your slot, right? But if you get out of the first, 3 or 4 rounds with only one outfielder, you've really gotta chase some stuff. And I think that problem is only going to get worse. I think that as people get more into these contests and the badge bros start talking about baseball more, you start doing your thing, we're all gonna
I don't
kind
think
of be
so.
saying the same thing. It's just,
I'm going to counter that point. So
I
I
think
think
so.
that right now is the market is as sharp as it's going to be because of who is drafting. Right? You have mostly you and I's that are interested in this area and are studied up, and more often than not, 7, 8, 9 people in the room are pretty sharp. I think as we get close to baseball season actually starting, you're gonna have people being like, "Ooh, baseball," and um, that like allows for us to like take advantage of people just clicking names that they like better rather than the structures.
It's a
Um,
good point. It's a good point.
so
I, I
hopefully, right?
yeah, I think I am kind of suffering from pretty much the people I've been drafting with so far are very sharp. I mean, they're volume drafters. They're doing a lot of these drafts. They understand the structures and stuff like that. So that's a
Well, I
good
need to
point. As
put
more casuals
there's
come
something I
in, I
want to
think
put
you're
out there, right? The bullpen that we just finished drafting, we need to stop thinking about that completely, right? And the
correct.
teams that we used to get, they don't exist anymore.
Correct.
Okay, we're on the clock.
Yep.
Where do you want to go?
Um, I know we talked about doing zero pitcher. You want to commit to that and go with another outfielder, or do you want to go with Goldschmidt?
Um, let's take Goldschmidt.
I like it. He kind
And
of
the
had a
reason
down
this
year
is
last year.
he did our team absolutely mashes right now. And look at the queue, right? We only have to get around one person right here. But I'm 2-2. I can go with the 1-2-2 right now, as long as it's our fifth round pitcher. We're gonna get
Yep.
whomever we want right now. Take your choice. And I think that was a really sharp play to push the guy around the corner.
Yeah, I agree. I'm between Pablo Lopez and Framber Valdez here. I think Lopez obviously has more strikeout potential, but Framber's about as consistent as they come. Your call.
Let's take Lopez right at the top of the queue. I think that's easy.
I agree.
Yeah.
I love the Twins pitching staff this year. Like they're going to be a problem. Him, Joe Ryan, I think is underpriced. I think Bailey Ober is underpriced a little bit. Those three guys I'm probably going to have a lot. Brad's
which is an
making fun
interesting
of us
time
for,
to.
I was going to say Brad's making fun of us for not going zero pitcher. Truthfully, when it comes to the outfielders that are available kind of in this range, and even, based on how we started here with, having Alonso as our anchor already, I guess I probably would have leaned like Ian Happ is super consistent. Anthony Santander is one of those guys who can hit 3 home runs in a game, and then the Orioles will lose every game that happens because for some reason that's what happens with him. But I do think with how the board kind of fell and the structure of our team right now, I think going with the pitcher there was probably the right move.
Can you do me a favor and pop open the board?
Absolutely.
So we have 2 interesting drafts here, right? The 1-1, he double tapped pitchers right there. That's probably, if you're going to do 2 pitcher, I think it's through a guy that's like elite, like Acuna, because then you're not going to be suffering from like advance rate issues,
right.
Which pitching definitely pulls the advance rate down, but it might give you a lever later. And then the 12 hole,
Yep.
didn't care.
No. He's that 12 hole team is going to be chasing outfield here for the rest of the draft. It can work, but he's got to make the right moves. We see Glass now looks like he's falling a little bit from where I remember him in the Dinger. I think that's the case.
So it's going the other way. So in the Dinger it rose. No, in the bullpen, I mean, it rose and it rose, and it rose. And I think that came around like good news. Going to the Dodgers is good, just like generally positive. But then when people start to like look into the profile of the guy that doesn't ever pitch a ton and on a team that's playing for the end of the season and the playoffs, not the beginning, not this actual season, and a team that's very comfortable with just 6 pitchers or something like that, you're just like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they just signed
he could win you a
James
tournament.
Paxton too. Then they just signed James Paxton too. So that's just, another starter. And yeah, he's always had health issues too, but they can very easily go with a 6-span rotation or sometimes like 7 if they want to here and there to let Walker Buehler get up to speed and to give Yamamoto the rest and to give Paxton the rest. And, Bobby Miller's going to have a full workload for the first time. I love the individual pitchers on that Dodger staff. I just have concerns that like you might get a week where they literally don't make a start because of how they're resting these guys. So I think that's probably a big reason why Glasnow is falling. And, as much as I love and want to love Bobby Miller, I feel like we have to have the same concerns for all of those Dodgers pitchers across the board, right?
Absolutely. I mean, his stuff is off the charts. All of the metrics show that, but I don't know. This is a volume game. As much as it is talent, staying healthy is relevant, and just his pitching is multiple starts in a week. So we're 2 away. I think we're actually in an okay position. Structurally, there are outfielders to take. If we want to go double elite pitching, we kind of got sniped right there the last 2.
Yeah, a little bit. I always chase these upside guys. We talked about Stephen Kwan. If I was going to draft Stephen Kwan, this would be the team I would do it. You're going to make me do it?
I mean, so where it's not a fun pick. It's not a sexy pick, but on a team like this, I feel like you're going to be incredibly comfortable with your outfield. And I like to get to six outfielders more than six at the other two positions. And that's because deep infield actually has substance. Um, and multiple having more that was quick, more pitcher
Yeah, it
bullets
was.
late gives us, can we go Jesus? Um,
Yep. Luzardo,
um, but yeah, Lizardo.
you got
Um,
it.
but so more pitching bullets later gives us like just more opportunities to score because pitching get hurt. Like it's like having like more RBs
Right.
late.
Right. So here's the thing with Stephen Kwan, and I knew he'd come up with us drafting together. That is the first time this draft season I've clicked his name. And here's why. He unquestionably has a great floor. I'm not saying that he had a great advance rate last year. All that is true. However, when it gets to this range, okay, let's pull up the board here. With how I've been building teams, when it gets to this range, I am primarily targeting ceiling guys or getting my first pitcher. So because of that, he just kind of fallen off my radar. Like if Freddie Peralta's there, I'm taking Freddie Peralta instead of Steven Kwan. All right. Uh, Billy Joe double tapped outfielder. Maybe he takes Kwan. On the way back, I like double tapping these starters, especially if I've waited on pitching up until now. So I don't have anything against Stephen Kwan as a player, right? I question his week to week ceiling, even though his floor is tremendous. And there's just other guys around there. From a structural perspective, if I've only gotten one outfielder to this point, he's not going to be my second one in because I need upside
Mm-hmm.
to catch up. But in this specific build, where we've already got at the time we picked him, two elite outfielders, two elite infielders, and then at least one ace, it makes sense. It makes sense on this team, and I do like it.
And think about what it gives us access to later. By Quan having elite floor, like, and it's not just good floor. It's like a guy who's going to lead off and get like 700 at bats a year. It's like so because when you have outfielders later that are even more spiky in profile, so could go really cold but hit a bunch of home runs, like the Sawinski thing, right? Like you're comfortable with like you pair the two of them together. Do you have a player with an elite floor and high spike too? Um, I really like that. It
Yeah, I
seems fun
mean,
so far.
it does. It does. It does make sense on this build. It's just, you know, Stephen Kwan's never going to be your outfield one, and he's very rarely going to be your outfield two in a week to week basis, like in the playoff rounds or whatever, right? But he's also pretty much never going to be your outfield five or six, right? He's just going to put up his like 70 points every single week or whatever, and that's it's safe. It's really safe. So
So
I
let me
like the
also so
players.
before we move on, just want to put this out there. If Stephen Kwan's an ugly click now and outfield is going to get more expensive, what happens then? When he it would just everyone shifts up. Um, and I'm not sure he may not be in the range where it can happen because there's so much there'll be a compression of pitchers that will be too good to move them up over. But yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, he's just one of those guys I've pretty much saved for this team. I have fully faded. And again, it's not anything against him as the player. It's usually just a structural thing. He just doesn't fit the archetype of player that I'm looking for at that particular moment on most builds that I'm doing. Um, we've got a couple of just really lovely options coming up for us here. So I may make an executive decision on this pick if you don't mind.
oh please do.
Let's
This
see
is
what
a
happens.
collaborative draft.
um, I'm kind of not drafting these rookies right now. I want the bat. I want the bat to come out. I want some more projections and stuff to come out. But I'm going to draft Carlos Rodon. He is absolutely the type of guy I was talking about earlier, where there's always massive injury concern, but his ceiling is insane. And on a week to week basis, his ceiling is about as high as anyone not named Strider. And I truly believe that. But that health is a huge concern. But if you get him right, you're sitting pretty. What are we thinking for this pick?
I was gonna pick Reagan's. Reagan's is my dude. I love him so
Okay.
much, but he just got taken from us.
Do we stack
So the
Eloy
question
with
is,
Robert?
do we do we stack? Which I think is actually a really nice, if you think about it, play.
Yeah, let's do it.
An upside guy, where we want the upside because we can accept that we have a really good floor guy, and we can now anytime there's like a decision point where we like more upside or safety. Um, yeah, that's an interesting comparison, Brad.
Yeah, the Jung Ho Lee thing versus the Quan thing. I agree, and I think the Badge Bros kind of touched on this a little bit when they did their Dinger stream recently. His profile absolutely is the same as Stephen Kwan's. That ballpark is not great for power. Not that Lee doesn't really profile as a power hitter, but for sure that ballpark's not going to help him in the power department. So I think if you were going to comp him to somebody, it would be Stephen Kwan. Again, right now, I'm kind of out on these rookies, and that includes Jung Ho Lee, to a lesser extent Yamamoto. I just want more projections to come out so I can wrap my mind around, okay, what do we actually think these guys may be capable of? But I haven't drafted any
The
Lee.
rookie that I'm
No.
not out on at price right now is Imanaga in Chicago because
Okay.
he's not expensive. He is 30 more picks down the board, right? And he's still going to be a premium foreign player that's going to come in ready to go, and they're going to try to pitch him. I know that he's not the Yamamoto's like profile, but he's going way too late for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I loved that signing for the Cubs, and thank you, Bjorn, for throwing that out. Yeah, if you're watching, please feel free to drop a like. We greatly appreciate the support. Hey, let's recap the team real quick. We're through 9 rounds. We're in the 10th round right now. So we got the second pick. We had a great conversation about Aaron Judge versus Juan Soto. Both Billy and I are clicking Judge's name almost every time over Soto for the upside. But we went Judge, Alonso, Robert to start. And then we went Goldschmidt and Lopez, Juan Luzardo, and then Rodon and Eloy. So pitchers are Pablo Lopez, Jesus Luzardo, Carlos Rodon. Infielders Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt. Outfielders Judge, Robert, Kwan, and Eloy. There's a few guys I really like in this particular range of ADP as well. Just kind of wanted your thoughts. This is where I've been taking one pitcher, in some cases two, depending on the build. Because I think there's a couple of guys here with some massive upside, but also some big question marks.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. We're gonna. Glaber was there, and that was interesting. Very interesting.
I was gonna stack him with Judge and take him, but I've been getting to a lot of Hunter Green this year.
Let's do it. I think that we should double tap pitching here.
I agree. Hunter Green's week-to-week ceiling is absolutely massive. There will be starts where he's just terrible and he gets just completely lit up. But his ceiling is up there. And honestly, if the Reds are going to compete this year, they need him. They need him, and they need Lodolo to come out and do their thing, stay healthy and pitch well. And yeah, you talked about double tapping pitcher here. I haven't drafted any Merrill Kelly this year. He completely ruined my existence last year in the playoffs. So it's a little bit that spite. But you have a guy you have an eye on here?
Sonny Gray. I like St. Louis is a good place to pitch. And our staff, when you now look at the staff after we draft them, like that's really good. And we didn't have to take anyone until 50. And I would look at anyone who's picking in the first 3 rounds of the pitching and like, as a staff as a whole, how are you going to really compete with this team and hit with us too?
Right. Well, we've got ceiling guy, massive ceiling, but massive concerns, and then just about as steady of a floor as you're going to get with Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is like the Stephen Kwan of our pitching staff to a point.
And but pitching can be way more spiky if a guy can roll out there for a couple 2 start weeks, and that's what makes him awesome is his volume.
Yeah, he's always out there. The guy right next to him in ADP, Chris Bassett, is another guy that I was clicking on quite a bit in the bullpen. I feel like you can get him on the same team just a couple rounds later with Jose Barrios, honestly. But Bassett feels like in kind of the same vein as Sonny Gray, just kind of a nice solid floor guy who's going to throw a ton of innings and strike out a guy per inning. And I'm good with that in this range.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at, so we've got a 5-2-4 build. Honestly, I think we can shut down pitcher for a little while. And this kind of looks like a 6-pitcher team to me. What do you think?
It is, and I've been closer to 7 than 6. I think that this, but more often than not, but this is fine. I think we are set. We are in a position to, if pitching value comes our way, we can take advantage of it. We don't have to chase it. We don't have to chase it late. We also don't have to chase outfield late. This gives us a lot of options right now.
It does. This structure it's a good one. We're not chasing anything. We're really not. We've got 5 picks left. This range is pretty nasty, though. I don't really love too much in this range, so we may reach a little bit if one guy in particular gets drafted here. But there's one guy I love in this range, so we'll see if he makes it back to us. But are you kind of thinking infielder, or do we just kind of see what's there for us?
I think that we should go 1-1 right now. So 1 infielder, 1 outfielder. Unless we're going to do it Imanaga, but we just said that we're so comfortable at pitching that it's not really worth
Right.
about like the amount of points to add to this team. I feel like I'd rather kind of defer that for a round. Yeah, an infielder and an outfielder. Let's do that right now.
Okay. Let's see what Senpai does here. We might. Okay.
Ooh.
Can I make a counter? Can we go to
Yes.
infielder and go? I love Vinny Pasquantino this late.
Mm-hmm.
But Rhys Hoskins is also down here.
That's your boy.
It is.
Either one is fine.
Let's go Vinny, just
yeah.
because I have like 50% Hoskins right now. But can we leave the potential opportunity to? I love Hoskins already this year, and the fact that he's in Milwaukee is just, I mean, what a beautiful landing spot for him. So if I had my druthers, I would go Pasquantino, Hoskins. Well, never mind.
Well, he's watching. He has to be. Billy Joe, where are you?
That's all right. That's all right, Billy. Find you.
So,
all
do
right,
you want
so
to stack
outfielder
and Giancarlo? Do you want to go Sawinski? And what do you want to do?
I kind of like Jarren Duran. What do you think?
I'm open to whatever. Let's do it.
Let's do Swinsky.
Oh,
Let's
so
do
you want
Swinsky.
Swinsky?
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
Swinsky.
let's think about. I want to hear the why Duran, and then I want to know. I'll say why. I mean, Swinsky is the spike guy, right? And
Right.
maybe we have too many spike guys, but talk to me about Duran.
Um, I think that the Red Sox lineup's going to be pretty solid this year with him leading off pretty much every day in a ballpark that's, pretty friendly for hitting. It's kind of the Stephen Kwan thing with Jaron Duran, just a little bit later. His floor is not what Stephen Kwan's is. That's not what I'm saying, but he just kind of
It
feels
could
like
be.
he could potentially, but it just kind of feels safe in a way. And Steamer, baseball sheet where he took Steamer's projections and assigned, underdog scoring, really likes Jaron Duran. So that was kind of the wave. I'm completely out on Giancarlo Stanton. I don't know that he can stay healthy for a season, and I also don't know that he's still that guy. So I've been completely out on him. I would rather take the platoon Jack Sawinski over Giancarlo Stanton every time.
Yeah, and I like Swinsky. Uh-huh. Yeah, he did. Billy
Bjorn's
Joe,
pointing out here.
jerk.
Bjorn's putting out here that Billy Joe pretty much ruined my life right there with Hoskins and Chris Bryant back to back. Those have been two of my my favorite targets this year. You said we do
If
have.
that's not a bunch of flatter. I'm just saying that those Billy Joe picks are. They say that Woo Woo J Train. You know what you're doing, right?
Let's go with that. Yeah, I like that. That makes me feel good. I appreciate that. To your point about this outfield being very spiky, I don't mind that, honestly. It's just I'm good with having four guys who can just go nuke any week. Like Luis Robert is one of those guys who will be absolutely insane for 9 to 14 games, and then he's ass for 20. Like that's just kind of how he was last year. Super, super streaky. Aaron Judge, the only question is, can he stay healthy? Because if he's on the field, he's going to give us a score every single week. So, barring health issues, we know we're going to get scores every week from Judge and probably Kwan. We just need one useful score from one of these other guys because more often than not, your flex score is going to come from your infield. The data from last year shows that. So, yeah, we have some very spiky and kind of questionable guys here. But hilariously, with the floor of Stephen Kwan, I feel much better about it.
You feel good about Quan. I love it. But it's they have been not healthy in the past. But are any of these guys old and dusty? No. Any of them any of them hurt right now? No. So I don't really feel like that narrative. If anything, there's value in these picks.
Correct. If there is a guy on this team who just makes me want to pull my hair out with injuries, it's Eloy Jimenez. Like this dude's always got something going on, and usually it's self-inflicted stupidity. Background: I'm a disgruntled Sox fan, so I've been through it with him. But if he can just not be an idiot and then just stay on the field, he has 40 home run upside. I feel confident saying that, but he's got to be on the field to do it. So, let's strategize for our picks since we've got a couple coming up here. With our 5-3-5 build, are you leaning infield here? Can we please not draft Luis Ariz on this team because we already have him and Stephen Kwan, please?
I don't want Luis Arias.
Good.
Especially, no thanks. We're all set there. I am looking at Braxton Garrett as I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but I played really high level baseball growing up, and he played for the same program that I did. So East Cobb guy. So we're gonna roll with Braxton Garrett.
I'm good with that. I have quite a bit of him in the bullpen. I think he profiles really well for a contest like this. So I'm definitely on board with that. And then unless Billy Joe ruins my soul again, we're gonna have our pick. All right, it's William Contreras for me here.
Mm-hmm.
He is one of the best values on the board right now, like hands down. And that Milwaukee offense just got a huge upgrade with NL MVP candidate Reese Hoskins joining the team. I really need that statement to be true. I'll be rich. I'll be rich if that happens. But I stay away from catchers usually in this format, but William Contreras is not a true catcher in the sense that he's not really going to have many off days. He's going to DH.
Mm-hmm.
Not really worried about Reese possibly taking DH at bats away from Ghost. God, I certainly hope that the Brewers have enough sense to not do that. If anything, that Reese Hoskins signing should send Jake Bowers to the gallows. So maybe there's a couple games that Contreras sits where Hoskins DHs, but I really don't have those concerns. What do you think about that?
I mean, it wouldn't be smart to not hit
Mm-hmm.
him. He's a good hitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, comparatively to other players, he's not going to play as much, but he is really good. And he's going to be more of a DH than your traditional catcher. I did want to mention Melendez is an interesting. We've been talking about these guys that get volume. Melendez is one of those guys when I've got a Wit or a Vinny that he's like, okay, some volume, some. I also can get like the stack partner there. I'll take it. But he's a, but yeah, he's not a sexy pick.
He's not, and he was getting steamed last year pretty good. Um, and he didn't really have a great year, but he still did put up 1,060 points, which isn't terrible. So, and I think by all accounts, he kind of underachieved expectation last year. So, I currently have virtually none of him, but I definitely see the merit. And I probably need to get a little bit of him in my lineups because you're right. It's a volume thing. He's going to be in the lineup every single day, unless for some reason he finds himself in a platoon against left-handed pitching. But I don't really know that that's going to happen. Like, who else are the Royals? The Royals are not good. So just play your best players and let him learn how to hit lefties if he's bad at it. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at.
He's entering his third season in the MLB. He's going to be 25 years old this year. He had 500. I'm looking at Baseball Reference now. 530 at bat plate appearances, 600 plate appearances. I don't know. I feel like they're from a safety on like floor and volume. It's a decent pick, especially when you compare the guys up.
Yeah, I
We didn't
definitely
take him, so it doesn't matter.
no, I definitely see it though. Okay, so we've got a pick coming up here and two picks, and then one pretty quickly after that. Um, I have an idea. The guy I haven't really drafted much of, but he might kind of fill out a position for us, and we can stack him. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
I've never had to like watch what I say on a stream before. They can somebody snipe my picks. This is kind of weird for me.
Well, you've made it a little bit.
We're getting there. I don't have much Sal Frelick, but does he kind of feel right for this team? We can stack him like a little mini stack with William Contreras. What do you think about that?
At this point in the draft, I think it makes sense, right? There,
Okay.
it fills a position. We're not chasing ADP. There's the stack value that goes there. We can comfortably say we do not have to draft another outfielder right now.
Right.
if one comes to us, sure, but the last round outfielders are ugly.
They are. You're really throwing
Yeah.
darts. There is a guy that I like that I think actually really might make sense for this team. It'll be a last round pick, so we'll talk about it when we get there
Mhm.
if we need to. But I'm with you. I think we're pretty much trying to round out our infield at this point. We have to take Jake Berger, right? He's on the thumbnail. Isn't that the
Oh
rule?
yes, absolutely. I was
Yeah.
just like, is Billy Joe going to break our heart?
I know.
But
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to say even that because I know, like, I feel like Billy's in my head. So yeah.
yeah,
Um,
he's got free real estate right now. But that was we love the pick, right? I think there's been multiple podcasts that I've heard, and I've heard you say it. The power is real. You look at the dude;
yes.
he's huge. Looks like a power
Yes.
hitter,
Mhm.
and he hit 34 home runs last year. How many people are you going to get back at this point that's going to hit that much? Um, like hit that much power
And
at this deep in the draft? Yeah.
and I would like to remind people the White Sox did not have him as an everyday player for I want to say I'd have to look up the actual thing, but I want to say for the first month of the season, he was kind of like in and out of the lineup here and there. And then they finally started playing him every day. He very easily could have put up 37, 38 home runs last year if he was just there in the lineup every single day, which he's going to be in Miami. Um, I would love to see him walk a little more, just raise the average a little bit so we get some more of those counting stats. But his power is absolutely real. Us White Sox fans, were waiting for this guy, and he ruptured his Achilles tendon twice in the minors and was kind of late getting up. But we had heard for multiple years that dude's power was legit, and he showed it last year. And I fully believe this number is easily attainable, if not more. He smashes the baseball.
Yeah, and if it's why you wait on it infield. It's because you got guys like that sitting
Yeah,
here, late third baseman, late first baseman that just absolutely hit nukes. And in this format, there's no real detriment to anything hitting. There's no like strikeouts, there's no batting average,
mm-hmm.
so it's just counting, and he can spike. I think
Absolutely.
does our team feel like really pretty good right now?
It does. It really does. I think we just kind of watch and see what happens with the rest of the draft, but I'm feeling this as a 6-7-7 build. I think that's
Hmm.
the direction we're heading. I my whole thing is, especially if we're drafting these guys with injury concerns, I try to lock myself into the draft as if you're right mentality, right? If we're correct and like Luzardo, Rodon, Green can stay healthy for a full season, this pitching staff is an absolute smash show. So if we draft a team hoping for that outcome, I think we need to lean into that outcome and build the team around that happening instead of trying to fill in like a Aaron Saval or something who's just going to throw some innings and like we feel better about the pitching staff. I don't think that helps us at all.
Yeah, I think that sentiment is very fair. I think of that through infield and outfield, right? Like at this point, we're drafting a flex, um, and I think that like I don't know. I just feel like I'd rather have another live bullet at pitching
Yeah,
late. Um, but I feel like at this point, our structure is safe. Like we can do whatever we want here.
pretty much. Um, I am.
We got
I'm going to
five
go ahead and
seconds.
take Brandon Lau here. He's another one of those spike
Okay.
guys. He's another one of those spike guys. Health concerns, plays for the Rays. I know he may not play like every single day, but the dude can hit home runs in bunches. Um, and usually this late, I'm either looking for a guy like that or I'm looking for a really nice floor guy to just kind of round out my infield. Um, I feel like this team in the infield needed a little bit more pop. So I like the Berger and Lau pairing. Um, if it were me, I would snap pick Tyro Estrada here. I think he's one of the best
Hmm.
values in the entire draft. But how do you feel about that?
I'm down. I agree with that. He had a good year last year and missed a little bit of time, and there's potential for even more there. Some of these like third year players, I feel like. Well, how old is he? Where in baseball, it's like the rookies in base and football is where it's at. And I feel like, yeah, there is some rookie value, but there's still other young players that have potential for more in
I,
baseball.
I feel like we forgot about halfway through the year last year. We were kind of looking back at our teams like, how did we miss Tyro Estrada? Like he was
Mm.
on pace to smash, given that he was rarely, if ever, drafted. Um, and he was on pace to probably put up a 1,300 point season, and then he missed a few games. So when you're looking at just what can I get in this 19th, 20th round, I think you're really looking for guys who can either have these massive spikes like Brandon Lau, right, or Jake Berger or something, or you're just looking for guys who are going to be on the field. So we know Tyro Estrada is going to hit at the top of the Giants lineup. Yeah, the Giants lineup's not great, but he's still going to be hitting at the top of that lineup. So he's going to get 600 plate appearances this year. And he did quite a bit last year with the time that he did play. So he feels like an absolutely amazing, 19th, 20th round pick right now.
I completely agree. Our infield is sick. I
Yeah,
love
this
it.
this infield has some major potential. All right, outfield. What archetype of player do we think we want to target here? Do we want to look for maybe a stacking partner? I don't want to name any names because I know there's a couple guys in this draft, but there's one stacking partner I have in mind who is a real wild card type of pick. Do we do the Mitch Haniger thing again and hope he stays healthy for once? What are you thinking kind of with this last pick?
So this is the part of the draft that I definitely struggle. And I feel like I wish I had a couple like strong targets. I have the strong targets in the infield. I don't really have them in the outfield. I've been picking Parker Meadows because of the fact that he can play outfield every day, and he's
Yep.
gonna play outfield every day. He may not be able to hit, but he can play. But he's already been selected. But I don't know. I feel like this could be a scroll down. Quickly saw Conforto. That feels interesting with Dyro, but what were you thinking?
Um, let's let a couple more picks go here, and then we'll talk through it. I know I've seen Luke Rayleigh being drafted kind of recently. He feels like a dude that's just going to wind up in a platoon, though. And I'm trying to search for some high upside guys who are maybe going to play every day. Um, Adam Duvall is
Mm.
kind of weirdly interesting to me. Somebody's going to sign him, and it's probably going to be like a 1-year prove it deal. Um, and he can put up points in bunches. I don't really know that this is the team I want to draft him on. But the guy that I have in mind is a stacking partner for our Brewers, and that's Garrett Mitchell. This dude was getting drafted in like the 14th, 16th round last year and got hurt. Um, there's a little bit of a logjam in the outfield. So one of these outfielders is going to probably lose some playing time, maybe, especially with Hoskins there. But I just feel like a stacking partner for our Brewers. Garrett Mitchell's got some upside.
Let's do it.
I did get it right.
That was like
I thought I
you
missed
were
it.
right there.
Thought I missed it. Woo! Yeah,
Especially when we're on the clock.
right, right. So yeah, let's view the full draft. Shut up. Let's recap the team. So we went with a 6-7-7 build. We had the 2 pick. The pitching staff is Pablo Lopez, Jesus Luzardo, Carlos Rodon, Hunter Green, Sonny Gray, and Braxton Garrett. Infield is Pete Alonso, Paul Goldschmidt, Vinny Pasquantino, William Contreras, Jake Berger, Brandon Lau, Tyro Estrada. A lot of big guys who hit ball far. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the outfield, we took Aaron Judge over Soto, Luis Robert, Stephen Kwan, Eloy Jimenez, Jack Sawinski, Sal Frelick, and Garrett Mitchell. Overall, how do you feel about this team?
I really like this team. Infield, no, the pitching gets there. The infield gets there. The outfield gets there. That's why I'm like, did I miss? And like, or am I just kind of like chasing at another position at that position? I don't feel like we had to. We have plenty of upside. It's a really good team. There's only one team I actually do want to look at that's not ours. Can we take a look at the 12 hole real quick and
Absolutely.
see
Yep. I was going to,
how they managed that
sure.
build?
And I was going to pull up a couple of our friends in chat here. If our friends don't mind, if you don't want me to pull up your team, just tell me. But you guys
Yeah, in
showed
the
up.
chat,
We
let us know
appreciate
if you
that.
want us to like roast your team or if you
Yeah.
want us to say what we like.
Yeah. Bjorn, your team's ass. I don't even need to look at it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right. So here's the 12 hole. So he went with a 6-6-8 build, which is the correct thing to do with how he started, in my opinion. So let's look at the draft board here. So this 12 hole guy, he went 2 infielders, 3
Zoom out a
pitchers.
little bit.
Okay. Better?
Just so we could see a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, we don't care about the names as much as I think the colors are actually like really
Structure,
telling.
yeah. So he went with a 3-2-2 to start, basically. Didn't draft his third outfielder until round 12. So this outfield is
but who did he
pretty
draft?
gross.
It's Kelnick, O'Neill, Marte, De La Cruz,
Brian De La
Benintendi.
Cruz. Yeah, Leo Taveras. So he tried to catch up with volume in the outfield, which I think is the correct way to approach that. But when you wait that long, I mean, you're really reaching. There's nothing that you can do to convince me to draft Andrew Benintendi. I will not do it. I absolutely will not do it. So he tried his best, I think, to recover. Let's look at Raleigh Durham. He doesn't like his team. Let's see what we think. He went with a 6-7-7 build. Strider, Glass, Bradish, Brown, Morton, Montes, Albies, Henderson, Torkelson, Jimenez, Arise, McMahon, and Abreu. And then Tucker, Suzuki, Green, Churio, Morel, Rooker, and Meadows.
There are some players I like on this team. When we talk about like did that position group get there? Like the pitchers get there, right? It's very top heavy. And if Hunter Brown
it is
takes
very
a step
top
up,
heavy.
they can get
he
there.
Needs,
but then
he needs Hunter Brown to make a big leap, I think. A combination of Glass now staying healthy and Hunter Brown to take a leap. Charlie Morton's going to do his thing. He's fine. I have no idea what to do with Frankie Montas in Cincinnati. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like
this comment's great. It forced me into Strider at 15, threw me a hanging slider, and I fouled it off my foot. Raleigh, I like the first like 3 or 4 players in each position quite a bit. And then the last like 2 or 3 is just kind of like a question mark for me. I think that your outfield is really hinging on Green being that guy. I think he's going to get some steam, and I think he's going to recover. I have a lot of Green this year. I'm just out on the prospects, so I won't weigh in on that. I love the Chris Morel thing, though. I really do. I think the Cubs are going to absolutely find a way to get him in the lineup every single day. So I would say I like our team more than I like Raleigh Durham's, but there are some absolute ceiling smashes here that could carry the entire team. And obviously there's some stacking here. You know, he's got the mini with Torkelson and Green. He's got the mini with and Meadows. He's got the mini with the 2 Cubs guys. So this is not a bad team by any means. I would say I like ours a little bit more, though. What do you think?
That's how I feel too. I think our team is better than this team. That's kind of mean to say, but I think our pitching can go blow for blow with them. Our hitting gets there. Infield, I feel like Jimenez, Arias, like it's like little low T of picks right there, and that's not what we're looking for. We have the more pop. We only got our one Quan. So and then the outfield again, like not as exciting a pick. I will say Rooker is someone who I've been picking in the same vein as a Burger late of a
Yeah.
guy who hit 30 home runs last year.
Yep.
Go watch him on YouTube. Tell me you don't love his
Yep.
baseball swing. As
Yeah.
someone who played baseball forever growing up, went millions of hitting lessons, like I like the way he swings the bat. I feel like that's sustainable long term. He just had the first year got an opportunity. He went and hit 30 home runs. I want that. But yeah, this team can get there. Not exciting though. I wouldn't walk
I
out
agree.
loving this team.
I agree. Yeah. It definitely has some potential though. And I'm right there with you on the Brent Rooker thing. He does play for the A's, and the A's are stupid. So I question, like, are they just going to not give guys playing time for no reason? And you're right, Brad. Rooker's Twitter game is fire. That guy is an amazing follow on Twitter.
Oh, I don't follow him.
Let's
I'm
see.
doing that right now.
Ghost. We're going to sauce Ghost team. So he went with a 6-7-7. The pitching staff is Logan Webb, Justin Verlander, Jordan Montgomery, Yu Darvish, Lance Lynn, and Yusei Kikuchi. The infield is Jose Ramirez, Altuve, Alex Bregman, O'Neill Cruz, Matt McClain, Trevor Story, Josh Bell. And then the outfield is Jordan Alvarez, Brian Reynolds, Cedric Mullins, TJ Friedel, Taylor Ward, Matt Wallner at 209. That's interesting. And then Nelson Velasquez.
Oh, you're not in the Discord. Wallner is the talk of the Baz Rose Discord recently, and
I've
I don't know if I understand.
I'm not actually in the Discord. I need to get in that Discord. I don't know why I'm not, but I've actually been drafting Wallner in these contests already, so that doesn't surprise me. But he can smash. So Ghost, I think your pitching staff is all floor with Yu Darvish thrown in there for fun. I really do like Lance Lynn in St. Louis way more than in Chicago. And Yusei Kikuchi feels like a really nice, safe option at the toward the end of the draft. I don't think your pitching staff is like going to put up like.
I would have found a way to get a 7th
80,
on here, right? Like this is a 7 pitcher build, right? You get. I don't know if you look at the infield and the outfield. There's got to be one pick in there that is not going to have a material impact, whereas a pitcher on this team will have a material impact, whether that's either 2-star weeks or in the playoffs. Again, another bullet. But like, what was that last outfield pick? Like, I wonder how much that scores. Nelson Velasquez this year.
Yeah, and honestly, I think on this team, this infield is nuts. Like these first 6 infielders, I probably would have shut that down. I'm not a Josh Bell guy, admittedly. I'm not going to have any of them. I don't care about Josh Bell at all. I probably would have invested that pick in another pitcher, but this infield is bananas. I love this infield. That's nasty. The biggest question mark
feels good too.
It is. The biggest question mark in the outfield is Cedric Mullins. I have none of him, and I'm ready to pay dearly for that. I kind of feel like he's in this weird, sometimes platoon for no reason thing. I don't know what to make of him. I really don't.
Say that again. I'm kind of got distracted by
you're good.
Twitter account.
Don't do that to you. Cedric Mullins has kind of found himself in this like weird kind of platoon-ish thing where he doesn't hit very often against lefties. I think I might have flip-flopped it. Last year was an anomaly. He got hurt and was never he never really bounced back. I don't know what to do with him. I feel like if he was around pick 100, I'd be smashing him. But around like pick 80, 2 rounds earlier, basically, I can't do it. And I think that might be a mistake, but also it's kind of a strategic decision I've made with him.
So yeah, Ghost in the chat is saying they move him to ninth against lefties, which makes sense because
Yep.
I believe he's a lefty. So the Mullins thing is interesting. Does he have any other Baltimore players on this team?
He does not.
Doesn't.
No.
So like I understand Mullins, right? Because he's a good baseball player and on a really good team that we expect to just like get better and better and better. And so if you're looking for this like stacked out, like you're like a hyper stack kind of guy, and you're going to build a team that is Baltimore centric, Mullins fits that really well because they could go nuclear altogether. As a
Yep.
standalone piece, it feels a little funky because it's not like you're getting the premium play on Baltimore. You're kind of playing Baltimore through a weaker asset, but that's just kind of how I'm playing Mullins. I'm not going to roll in at zero. I'm going to roll in with kind of maybe a couple Baltimore onslaughts, and he'll be a part of it.
Okay. I do love that he pulled off the 3-man Houston stack though with Jordan, Altuve, and Bregman. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's nice.
And that's what I'm
Let's
saying. Like
look.
you play that kind of stack's a premium stack. If you got any one of them individually, they're a premium player on their own.
Agreed. Let's look at Brad's team. He went with a 7-7-6. He had the 7
I'm
pick.
excited. I just want to say real quick. Brad drafts some inspired teams. I'm expired. I'm excited to go through this.
I don't like it when Brad's in my drafts because
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's going to be a problem. There's a couple people who are in this draft. Like we were looking at their teams, Rally, Ghost, Bjorn. Like I don't like seeing these guys in my drafts because they're just good drafters. Um, but Brad got Dylan Cease, Joe Ryan, Jose Barrios, Shota Imanaga, Mackenzie Gore, John Gray, and Christopher Sanchez. The infield is Austin Riley, Bo Bichette, Royce Lewis, Bryson Stott, Carlos Correa, Zach Geloff, and Edouard Julien. And then the outfield is Otani, Michael Harris, Jazz, Jung Ho Lee, Byron Buxton, and Wyatt Langford. Um, if Brad gets this outfield right, we're in trouble.
I'm in a lot of trouble because
Yes.
If we say if Lee is Quan, he got a big discount on that. If
Mm-hmm.
Michael Harris doesn't bat eight or ninth, we have a problem there. If Jazz stays healthy and does kind of what his profile says, we're in trouble there. Well, I don't get Buxton's not going to be healthy, but then
Yeah.
Wyatt Langford is again one of these like super high ceiling kind of guys, and he got him as his last. So
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is
I
very
think
well done.
that, yeah, it is. This is an absolute shoot the moon type of outfield. The infield is very solid. I have no qualms. I have virtually no Royce Lewis right now, and that's more of a structural thing. Obviously, he was doing a Minnesota stack here, so we got 3 mini infielders with Byron Buxton. So I like that angle for
Mm-hmm.
sure. This pitching staff, the top 2 have massive upside. 2 safer guys, a high upside in Mackenzie Gore. Does John Gray return to form? Maybe. And I've been seeing Christopher Sanchez drafted a little bit. And he looked good last year. So I think you could do worse than him as your last pitcher in. So I'm a big fan of this team, Brad. If your outfield goes poorly, I think you're pretty much dead. But if you nailed this outfield, we're in trouble as a group.
Yeah, there's a world where there's nothing we can do against this team,
Yes,
um, and
I agree.
but there's also a world where we don't have to worry about this team at all either.
There's also a world where he's in 10th, right? Yeah. Yeah. And then the last team we'll look at is Bjorn Masterson. He was in chat here, so I want to give him a shout to. He had the 4th pick, 677 was his build. Scuball, Eflin, Bassett, Ober, Pavetta, Bryce Miller with the staff. So he waited on pitching. He basically did a version of zero pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
Enfield, Marcus Simeon, Lindor, Yandy Diaz, Max Muncy, Ha-Seong Kim, Christian Encarnacion Strand, and Noelvi Marte. And then outfield is Betts, Adolis, Teoscar, Jorge Soler, Lourdes Gurriel, Siri, and then Moniak. I really like he's going to get scores every week from his first 3 infielders. Um, love Muncie's week-to-week ceiling. Where's Christian Encarnacion Strand going to be in the lineup every day? Probably. I mean, he can mash. What are they going to do with Noel V. Marte? There's a log gem at their infield there, but he's a very high upside pick. So I think you've surrounded 3 just kind of lock in every week type of score guys with some guys who can go nuclear any given week. That's my thought.
Yeah, can we let's go pitching again? Let's go to the top.
Yeah.
So I go position by position. Does he get there here? I think he does, right? I typically and this could be something I'm not doing well, is I am not picking pitchers around pick 200 or later. I want to be kind of done for the most part. And I would have, and so like Scooble, and it feels like a big anchor, but him to not be kind of paired with another anchor. That's where I like to go with a double pitcher. There is that 5-6, 5-7 route, or 6-7, 6-8, like in there. So feels good, feels okay there, but I like Scooble a lot. He is so electric, and yeah, so that works for me a lot. He could be definitely a league winner from that range. It's the range of the draft where pitchers are league winners, and so I like Scooble a lot there.
And Brad makes a point here. He likes the pitching, even though he waited. Some guys he likes. Quality starts there, and Miller possible upside with new pitch. Correct. He's adding a splitter, and I know people are excited about that. Nick Pivetta is a guy that I've been getting to quite a bit. The only question with him is he going to throw the innings? Because the strikeouts are there. The strikeouts are absolutely there. And I like him as kind of like this. If he's going to be in my lineup, he's going to be either the second to last or last guy that I draft. So there's some safety in here. He needs Screwball to be that guy, and he needs Pivetta to be that guy to really get there. But
that's good.
I like the rest of the team. This outfield is nuts.
And Teoscar, that ADP is gross, but that's where we need to reset the bullpen versus the dinger, right?
Correct.
The ADP is gross based on what we know we used to be able to get him at, but it's probably okay now. And yeah, I feel like it's just like there's this click. I'm hesitant to click on him because of the fact that I know I have better shares in a different tournament, and that's something I need to kind of separate.
Well, and 2, he's already got Betts and Hernandez in his lineup, right? So clearly he's down here. He's like, okay, let's stack him with Max Muncy. I mean, if you're going to stack an offense, you could do much worse than the Dodgers, right? They're going to be insane this year. So I love the first 5 outfielders. The 6th and 7th, I don't really know what to make of those guys, what to do with them. I'm kind of out on them. But if he gets anything from these 2 guys when these guys struggle, he'll probably be all right. So I like this team. I really do. It's not bad. So I think that's going to do it, man. This was a fun time. I really want to thank you for coming on, man. If you guys haven't already, if you could, drop a like on the video, we would greatly appreciate it. If you don't already follow Billy on Twitter, X, you can find him at SportsViz, VIZBJ. He's a great follow. Been doing a lot of great deep dive stuff. And I'm sure we'll see you around. I know you've already been on with Dark Sheep, so I know we'll see you around in these streets for sure.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun, and we've just won $100,000.
I think so. I think we might have. Yeah, we might have pulled it off. I think we're gonna call it. So again, my name is Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, see ya.